Today I am doing a video on just deleting social media and what it's done for me, and a lot of things and that I've noticed after deleting social media. A lot of people are now realizing that social media isn't necessary. More people have been deleting social media because they are seeing the negative effects it is having on them. There is so much time being wasted scrolling through videos that literally add no value to your life and literally dumb you down. It is called brain rot for a reason. People came up with that. But it's really called brain rot. Man, that crazy. Isn't that crazy? And every time I, talk to my friends, catch up to them, they're always mentioning these memes and things that I don't get anymore because obviously I'm not on social media. And you kind of think to yourself, wow, they're kind of dumb. And no shade on my friends. Because, I used to be in that space. I used to be watching these memes like, But as you start watching less and less of that content, you realize that you don't need social media. Most people, of course, use social media to talk with their friends or family, to connect with others, to stay updated on people's lives. And while social media has definitely allowed for that, it raises the question, do I always need to be caught up on people's lives? I know me personally, I was following over 100 people and I only talked to around five of them, excluding my family. And for the rest of the people, while I did have connections with them, while I had them, I didn't really stay in touch with them. People after high school, phased out, and I keep up with them. People I met in passing, like, hey, what's your Instagram? Can I get it? And we never talked again, right? This leads to an issue, really. Social media, while it can't connect people, it actually kind of makes people further apart in a way because I found that when I'm talking to friends on social media, we're not really talking to each other. We're just sending dumb memes or videos to each other, typing a message, reacting to that message like that video, and that's it. That's all we're talking about. And of course, we would get into some topics and discuss some things, but 99% of that conversation would usually just be sending memes and reacting to them. And when I realized that, I kind of said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And I just stopped. I downloaded this app called Beeper because social media is such a waste of time for me. And of course, I've had really useful things that social media has helped me out with in terms of, getting updated on something. But for the most part, I just found I don't need that anymore. And so Beeper is this app that combines everything into one messaging app. So DM, Slack messages, Discord messages, Instagram, whatever, WhatsApp, Signal. Um, and I just used that to talk to them. And that's when I realized how shallow our conversation was, or my conversations were with my friends. And once I had about a year of that, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna just deactivate or delete accounts that I no longer use because I just had enough of it. And I knew that if I deactivated, no one cares. No one would really say nothing, no one would really notice. I've only talked to the friends that I was talking to on social media, and that was it. Every like the 150 people that were following me, I never reached out or anything. And so, yeah, it was pretty easy because I told them, hey, you know what? I'm moving out of here. I told my close friends, I'm moving out of here. I'm using this app. If you guys want to message me, and the app was being Signal because it's a great messenger, and all things are kept private and only between us, unless obviously one of them shares it. So yeah, I felt that that was a much more healthy way of communicating, especially because we got into more topics. We are talking about hanging out more and get on calls more. And we're not talking about this stupid Five Nights at Freddy's meme or talking about the Minecraft movie and how bad it was. Actually, we did talk about that. um, but yeah, everybody who says, "Oh, it's social media is necessary and you need social media to live," that's pretty false. Like delete social media for a month, not the accounts, just the apps, and you will see how nothing really changes in your life. You get more free time. You don't know what to do with that free time, and you got to figure out what you want to do for yourself, or you get to be bored more. And I know there's a lot of talk about boredom and how that's really useful because you start making stuff, you start doing things instead of scrolling on your phone and getting sucked into the time loop. Um, and I really want to talk about this social currency thing in terms of getting off social media to be cool. And while it could definitely help people in pushing and urging people into removing social media, that is really a shallow reason to remove social media. And if it is a reason, I feel like you would go back to social media very quickly because it is very lonely after you delete it. You know, if you don't get as much notifications and you're not really looking at your phone as much anymore, which is actually pretty good. But it's definitely more lonely. For a time, I didn't speak to any of my friends for like a month or so. But they'd reach out to me and I'd reach out to them, and it's really nice when we get a catch up because it's been so long since we've talked, and we have much more things to talk about instead of saying, "Hey, I saw that you did this on your story," and like, "Oh, okay, cool," and then you just move on. And recently, I've been thinking about going to the extent of deleting my accounts, and that has been very hard for me to kind of get past about kind of go through with it. I've deleted some accounts that I haven't used, like Snapchat, and I've downloaded all the memories because that's really what Snapchat was used for. I didn't use it to talk to anyone anymore, and some other accounts that I didn't need, and that brought me more peace of mind. And digital clutter is clutter. It clutters your mind just as much as physical things. And so that felt very liberating. But there are some other accounts that are harder to let go of, like Instagram, for example. I've used Instagram for so long. I've used it probably for like half of my life, or if not a little less than that. But, I just deactivated it, and I would deactivate it indefinitely until I have enough courage to delete those accounts. And other than the amount of time that is wasted on social media and the amount of unhealthy content you consume on there, social media just makes you feel worse after you use it. There's been many accounts, many people know that. You know that, right? Like you use social media and you just feel worse. Like, oh, or maybe you compare yourself to other people. Like, oh wow, like they're doing this thing and I'm still here. I'm stuck. But it's not like that. Comparison is the thief of joy, and social media just heightens that to a new level. We're humans. We do that naturally. And social media poses this threat of privacy. You share your lives and everything about yourself and all your thoughts and opinions on social media. They make it so easy. and that could be dangerous for people. And not it's not just that either. Like the amount of information they store on you just to sell to advertisers is just disgusting. Plain out, it is, and people are okay with that because it's been so normalized, and it shouldn't be normalized. It's a lack of respect, and I know these platforms are free and then don't and cost a bunch of money to run. But ads don't need to know every single thing about me just to make me buy more stuff. And social media drives you to consume more. Oh, this thing's trending now. I want to buy this. Or look at this ad that's perfectly tailored to me because they know everything about me. They know everything about me more than I know myself. And that just leads you to spend more that you don't need in your life instead of being present and thinking, literally thinking. I remember some days I would be so brain fogged because I was just on the phone for so long and I wouldn't feel good. People don't feel good. It's a terrible thing. People, when you tell them that you don't use social media, they give you a weird look. They'll be like, "Oh, I wish I could do that too," or "How can you live without social media?" People even in your family are like, "Bro, are you serious? Like, what's going on? Or are you okay?" And you know, it's hard to connect with people. I've been to many meetups and get-togethers with people, just meeting new people in co-working spaces, and it's been harder to connect because Instagram's super easy to connect with and talk to. However, when you ask someone for their number, it's a bit more personal, and people don't want to give that number away for obvious reasons. So that is definitely a downside, is connecting with more people. However, I feel like even if you did connect with these people through social media, most of the time it leads to nothing. And you never reach out to them or they never reach out to you. It's plain and simple as that. And while it could transform into something bigger, most of the time it doesn't. In fact, social media has allowed me to grow my connections more and the connections I have more and have better relationships and have more things to talk about to my friends instead of knowing everything that they do. You know, it makes my connections feel deeper and richer. And that's something I value instead of shallow, funny memes being sent. But as of that, that's pretty much all I have to say. That social media, yeah, while deleting social media is a bit hard, and it is hard. Ultimately, if you value having deeper connections with people, mental well being, and want time to do more things, getting off social media could definitely help with that. Especially thinking about how much time and doing the math yourself of how much time you spend on it and how much time sitting in front of a screen and how much time sitting in front of a screen instead of living your life. And it is difficult, but I definitely think it is worth it. And so for some people who have online friends, that is the only use case I feel like where you would really not feel not gain anything, in fact lose. And while people of course say, oh, for businesses, of course social media is great for that, but you don't have to have one personally. You don't have to personally spend your time on social media because it just distracts you from what's really important and what's in front of you. That's all I wanted to say, and thank you for listening.